Okay, so I've turned on the recording now, and I shall officially welcome you all to our contest Zoom Master session from District 112. Way! So it's great to have everyone joining us this evening. Sorry for a little bit of a late start, but I hope our talk about the virtual backgrounds was still helpful for all of you. Now, tonight's session, as I mentioned, is focused on the Zoom Master role inside our club, our area, our division, and our district contests, inside our speech contests. Unfortunately, we're stuck in this Zoom world at the moment, but there's always a way for us to be able to make it as close to real as we can, as close to being in physical meetings or physical contests as we can, and the Zoom Master role is part of that. We want to make it so it's still nice and simple for our guests, so our contestants don't have to stress about what is happening in the background, and to still honour and represent our clubs. So being able to manage Zoom appropriately is really our way of trying to blur those lines between virtual and physical. So I'm really glad to have all of you joining me tonight and joining us on this little virtual journey. So before we begin, I'd like to have a quick run around, and it will have to be quite quick, just to allow everyone to introduce themselves. So, hello, my name's Troy Smith. I am from Area K1, which is up north around Kirikiri and Paihia. I'm our District Zoom Master for this year, so it's quite an honour to be able to take that on board and share with you what I guess I've practiced. And otherwise, yeah, what do I hope to get out of the session? Lots of happy people, happy Zoomers. So if we'd like to go around the circle or the square here, and I'll head on to Mark first. Mark, just a quick introduction of yourself.
Sure, I'm Mark Fredell. I'm in Area 03 at the Botany Toastmasters Club. I'm currently VP Ed this term, and I just want to learn a little bit more about how to navigate the Zoom and, potentially for contests as well. Just to learn some things. That's in a nutshell, yeah.
Great, and hopefully we can do that for you. Moving on, we have Priscilla. Priscilla,
hi
welcome.
everyone. Hi everyone. I belong to two clubs, Silver Service and Daybreak. One Daybreak we meet at 7 in the morning, twice a month, and Silver Service we meet once a month at a different cafe every time. So that's always a challenge to speak sometimes in noisy environments. And I haven't been Zoom Master, and I've always wanted to be a fly on the wall of a Zoom Master so I can watch what they're doing. And that opportunity, of course, never arises. So that's why I'm here.
Cool. Well, you don't have to be on a fly on the wall tonight. Tonight we hope to throw you into the fire, and you can sink or swim at risk of too many cliches. Okay, Margaret, you're next on my screen. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Margaret Simons, and I'm currently a member of 3 clubs, Taupo, Palmerston North Advanced, and also Northern Impromptu, which is a wonderful challenging club, and yeah, and Troy is also. And I'm a bit nervous about actually hosting a Zoom meeting. I've attended quite a few, and I still forget to take the mute off at times, so I'm a pretty basic person with Zoom, but I've learnt to speak on it and look at the camera most of the time, but I need to learn more.
Fair enough. Yep, there's always something to learn, and there's always something to practice as well. Excuse the barking. Next on my screen here is Martin. Welcome along, Martin. A little bit about yourself.
Hi, Troy. Thank you very much. I'm Martin Francis, and I'm with Manariwa Talk Toastmasters. And it's the first club that I joined when I came to New Zealand, and it's the first club I joined when I came back to New Zealand, mainly because I live in South Auckland. And I've been membership VPR, and COVID has really thrown us into this virtual world, and I realized that I needed to get into it, just as Margaret and Priscilla and Mark have said, because you'd never know when the person who's your Zoom master for the club doesn't show up, and somebody else has got to step up, and at least if we have the skills, we can step up. So, yep, thank you, Troy, for hosting this, and really appreciate it.
Cool. Yep, yeah, it certainly is good to have the skills in case you suddenly have to step in. So very valiant cause there, Martin. All right, Tim, smiling away there in Hawaii.
Yeah, hi Troy. Yeah, Tim Charlson, VP Ed, Lakesview Breakfast Rotorua, ground of Q2. I've had a wee bit of Zoom experience, and I just thought I'd come along tonight and just hone the skills a bit more if I can.
Hopefully you can. If not, this will be a nice refresher for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Sonia with the fan.
Hi guys, I'm Sonia, Te Arawa Club in Rotorua. And yes, it's quite warm in here at the moment. And yeah, I have embarked 3 weeks ago onto a path where I learned more about computers, how to use them. Today I learned at Toi Ohomai how to upload videos and share them or not share them. And I thought this is a good way to top up my knowledge and be with my club and help my club out. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you. Hopefully it cools down a little bit as we go through the night as well. Okay, Warren, I've got you next on my screen. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Warren Spiden. I'm a member of Natalia Toastmasters in Area 01. And I would like to get out of this session, well, not too much, I don't really know. I'm just here, I guess, because, well, I'm already familiar, but I've never really been Zoom Master, so I thought, well, I'll just pop along and just see what it's about. Yeah, so I'm already familiar with Zoom quite a bit, but just thought if Troy's leading it, then there's something I'm about to learn.
Oh dear, high expectations. Well, we'll see what we can do for you, Warren. Thank you for that. Christine, over to you. Oh.
Yeah, hi, my name is Christine Grayson and I'm the president of Manurewa Talk Toastmasters. Tonight I am hoping to just learn some new skills. I don't know anything about being a Zoom master and only the basics about Zoom. So I'm sure I'll learn a lot. Thank you.
Great. No, hopefully, and we've already got a little bit of learning out of the way today, so that's a great start. Thank you, Christine. Is it Wallace?
Yes. Yes.
Welcome.
Wallace.
You'll have to unmute yourself there. Sorry, Wallace. You've popped on mute.
I thought I had unmuted. Wallace Walker from Mangakiki, which is located in Green Lane, Auckland. I just want to pick up a few tips on Zooming. And Troy, a question for you. What is the purpose of the video?
Which video?
The
The recording. So then I don't really know where it will go, actually. I'll leave that to our public relations manager, Elizabeth. It may or may not end up on YouTube on our District 112 page.
I think when you ask whether or not we want to be part of the recording, then that should be declared at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's very valid. Yeah, so if anyone is worried about that, then we can always snip you out. Okay, no, thank you, Wallace. Next we have Phil.
Yeah, kia ora koutou. Phil Turner, current president of West Harbour Toastmasters. Reasonably competent with Zoom and being able to do stuff, and have actually been a Zoom master for our club competition previously, and we run a hybrid environment, but interested just to learn the mechanics of the official way for running it for the competitions rather than what we did.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And a lot of people do have their different preferred techniques. We will talk about that a little bit today, as there are options depending on what people prefer. So I know for sure that, yeah, it's not incredibly consistent, and it's great to be able to hopefully set a few foundations to help promote that. Thanks, Phil. Esther, you're next on the list. Welcome.
Kia ora tātou. Good evening, everyone. Great to be here. Esther Hutchings. I am the treasurer and secretary of Botany Toastmasters Area 03, same club as Mark. Why am I here? I think, like Tim mentioned, I know a bit about Zoom. I do use it in the workplace, in my job, my 9-to-5 job, but I'm always keen to learn more, so that when our club needs a Zoom master, I can put my hand up and say, yes, I'll do that. That's why I'm here tonight. Thanks, Troy.
Cool, thank you. Yep, as Toasties, we're always prepared to jump in at last minute, so it's great that you're wanting to build those skills. Moving across, I think we have Natalia next. Are you there, Natalia?
Yep.
Hello.
Can you see me? Hello. I'm Natalia. I'm a member of West Harbour Toastmaster Club. And in our club, we are running our meetings online and offline simultaneously. And we have a Zoom master role now, and I want to learn more about it. So I can role in our club too. Thank you.
Whoops, there we go. Thank you, Natalia. No, it's good that your club is bringing that in.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool. Moving across, we have Akiko. Are you there?
Hi.
Hello.
Kia ora koutou, ko Akiko aho. I belong to West Harbour. That's the same club as Natalia and Phil, Tohi Toastmasters, and Auckland Advanced. I would very much like to learn how to organize breakout rooms. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora, Akiko. Yep, hopefully you're in the right place. We certainly will be covering breakout rooms in a little bit. Hopefully, yeah, it won't run over time. We'll see how we get on. Vanshika, you're next on our list. Welcome.
Kia ora, everyone. Hi, I'm Vanshika. I am the area director. Sorry, is it noisy? No? Okay. I'm the area director for P3 down here in Hamilton. I'm here today because, well, with more contests online, I just thought it'd be good if I could upskill my Zoom skills and be prepared to help out with contests mainly, but also quite a few of our clubs are going hybrid or online for a little while, so just good to be prepared and help out.
Cool. Are you on your phone as well, by the way?
I am, but I can see everything quite clearly.
Okay, sweet. That will limit your powers a little bit.
Right, okay.
But at least you'll still be able to follow along with us while we're...
Yeah, it should be fine. Thanks.
Cool. And last but not least, is it Cece?
Yes, that's it. Hi, Troy.
Welcome.
My name is... Thank you. My name is Tsitsi. I'm from Botany Toastmaster. same as Mark and Esther. So tonight I'm here to learn more about being a Zoom master. So that's like pick up some skills so that if there's any need for me to help, I'll be able to help with all the required skills and knowledge. So I can't put my Zoom on because I've just switched off from one gadget to another. I was working, so 7 o'clock.
That's okay. That's okay. No worries at all. As long as you're listening in and you're not you know, I don't know, cooking dinner or something in the background. Oh, thank you for joining us. No, it's great to have you all along and great to see you either again or meet you for the first time. Now, a brief note for our newbies. I have re-entered a quick Zoom master overview and a District 112 Zoom virtual background into the chat. So if you don't have that already, please go into your chat and download those. The Zoom Master Overview particularly is almost a little guide for us during this session. So be sure to keep an eye on that as we go through. But don't panic if we miss items off of that because I'm not going to be following it to the letter. So now that we're ready to begin, everyone's done their briefings, they've gone and arranged the meetings, and you're starting to log in. You're going in as the Zoom Master, of course, to ensure things are set up and prepared for the contest once it's ready. And now the first thing that we want to keep an eye on is something under the Security tab. And now if we have our little toolbar section down the bottom here, you'll find that there'll be your mic and your video right at the far left. And just across to the right from those, you'll have a Security tab there. Just a quick thumbs up if you've been able to find that. Might be a bit difficult for you, Sonia and Vanshika.
Yeah.
Vanshika's got it.
Yeah.
Great.
How does it look like?
It'll have a little shield.
Oh, okay. That's up there. A little shield. Zoom. Okay. Yeah.
Sweet. And so once you click on your Security tab there, that'll have two key options which we're looking for. One will be to enable the waiting room, which, like you experienced, that's how you come in. It's a little place for us to hold people just as long as we need before they enter the room, to have them in this little quiet space. Now, for anyone who's been in a contest, you might know that it can get quite frantic at times, especially when you've got all sorts of judges and all sorts of contestants, all this congestion happening in your main session. So the waiting room really helps us keep control of that. We're managing who comes into the room. Ideally, we'll have a list of who our officials are and who our contestants are. So we can go, oh, great, I see that Tim is a judge. I see that Mark is a judge. I'll bring them both in. I'll sort them out, shuffle them off to their briefing first, and then I can bring in Priscilla as our table topics contestant. So it allows you to manage them more thoroughly. So as soon as we enter the contest, we want to activate or enable the waiting room. And that's just by simply giving it a little check beside it. The next one that we're after is under that, which is called the hide profile pictures. So I don't think any of us have a profile picture active, which gets in the way of us testing this out. But what this will do is you'll notice that in some cases, when people have the video turned off, rather than just their name showing, like Guinea Pig just has his name showing there. Ah, Phil, yes. So like Phil has there, he'll have this great picture of himself in his suit. And now since we recognize Phil, we'll go, ah, I see that Phil is judge number 3 tonight. I know exactly how to win Phil over. I don't quite know that, but maybe he'll reveal to us tonight. And so by having that profile picture up there, it gives contestants, it gives other people an indication of who that is. Another example would be a guy, Neville Isherwood. I'm sure a few of you would have met or heard of him. He's one of the godparents of our district. And Neville is a big fan of wizards, and he has this really cool wizard as his profile picture. So it doesn't always have to be a picture of themselves, although it quite often is. It can also be something that's very key to a person. So as soon as people see it, they go, ah, I know who that is. So by hiding the profile pictures, and Phil, if I could get you to, thank you. So when we enable the hide profile pictures, there we go, someone's done it, great. You can see that Phil's profile picture will automatically disappear. And so as we start our meeting and go to set up the meeting, we want to make sure that hide profile pictures also has a check beside it, that's also enabled. So that's a brief run through of our, well, I should stop saying brief because it doesn't turn out to be very brief. That's a run through of our security tab.
And will you be showing us, Troy, how to add a profile picture later on?
Not for this course, but if you would like to, we could always run through that afterwards or in another session. So the next two features that we'll look at are the participants and the chat tabs. I think you're all familiar with our chat tab there. So then the only thing, then the only thing that we need to keep an eye, or that we need to talk about now, is the participants tab. So if we click on our little participants button there, and just a quick show of hands that you can find it.
Is that the little arrow, or do we click on the participants itself, or the arrow?
Participants itself. And then that will bring up a new window off to potentially the right-hand side of your screen. And that will show you all of our participants inside the meeting. Now, this is one of the fastest ways and most efficient ways for us to manage our different meeting participants. Now, up the top, you can see that there's myself first, and then there'll be all of our co-hosts, which is pretty much everyone. Oh, I see cheeky old guinea pig is taken over as co-host powers again. All right, I'll demote him. You'll see pretty much everyone with their co-host up the top, and then guinea pig, who's a normal old participant, will be right down the bottom. You can also see that there's a microphone and a video shape showing up to the right-hand side of each name, and that tells us whether or not someone is muted or their video is turned off just at the drop of the hat, so we can quickly check that. Another core feature of the participants section here is that when you hover your mouse over someone's name, for example, we'll go to poor old guinea pig. If you hover your mouse over guinea pig, then you'll see a big blue more button to the right. Now, clicking on more there, that will give you a couple of options. Typically, you will have asked to unmute or mute on there as well, but guinea pig's audio is disabled, so that option isn't showing. Now, the ones that we want to keep an eye on here, well, there are a couple in there. There's rename. If you were the host, you'd also have make host or make co-host too. For guinea pig, we also have put in waiting room, which, as a quick example, to test the waiting room, we'll pop guinea pig in there for now. And when we put guinea pig into the waiting room, you'll see that he will automatically head up to the top of your screen in its own separate space. And that will ask you to admit or remove that person from the waiting room. So have a little play there, get an idea on what that looks like. And that's a test run for what it might, or how things might act when you have proper members or participants or contestants or officials coming into your contest hall. So now those are a few options which we can do with our participants themselves. But one of the more important items that we need to know about here in this tab is down to the bottom where you'll have the 3 dots or the more option. So you'll have invite at the bottom of that tab, you'll have mute all at the bottom of that tab, and then you'll have the 3 dots, which is for more. So clicking onto the more option there, you'll have the ability to allow people to unmute themselves. You'll have to mute people upon entry. And then you'll also have the waiting room down there as well, like we've seen before. Now, the key ones we want to keep an eye on here is mute participants and allow participants to unmute themselves. So as we know, quite often it can be a distraction when someone either accidentally or on purpose takes themselves off of mute. They turn on their microphone, yet they're still having a merry wee chat to their mum off to the side, or they're out cooking and there's lots of pots and pans crashing around, and it very much gets a bit distracting for our poor old speakers who are standing up there trying to give this inspirational speech, and then you hear a plate break. So we certainly want to manage how people or when people can mute or unmute themselves. So what we want to do is remove the check, so disable the ability for participants to unmute. So if we give that a click and the check mark will disappear, then that means that our standard participants, so not including hosts or co-hosts, they won't be able to unmute themselves. They will need to be asked to unmute if we want them to. However, the host and the co-hosts can still readily unmute themselves if they need to chat. So that's one way we can add a little bit more security to our contests to make sure that there won't be any of those interruptions. The other one that we touched on was to mute participants upon entry. And typically this is on by default. It isn't always, it depends on the meeting settings, but it's very helpful to check that one as well, because as we let people into our meeting, much like if people hop across from breakout rooms, or if they accidentally leave themselves off mute for a while and then they forget, you'll catch the tail end of these conversations happening with their flatmates or with whoever that they might be having in the background. So by having that one turned on or that one enabled, as soon as someone enters the meeting, they'll be muted to begin with. So we don't have to worry about those carryover conversations. So making sure that we do have mute participants enabled and that we have allowed participants to unmute themselves disabled are two of the points that we want to keep an eye on in our participants tab. Has everyone been able to find those and that's clear for you? Quick thumbs up. Great. Great. Okay, so now that we've run through our participants section, the next one we want to have a look at is the chat. And now we've all found that before, hopefully, and have used it before too. Now, much like if you were going to message someone in your chat box, you want to head across to the edge there where you'll find the file button, a little smiley face or the emoji button, and then next door to that there'll be the 3 dots or the more option. Now clicking on more there, we have the chance to change who a participant can chat with. Now just a brief question or a brief quiz. why would we want to stop people chatting with or restrict who people can chat with? Any thoughts?
In case in a contest judges were talking to each other, or like the judge was telling the contest chair who the winners are and things like that. And everyone gets to see.
That's a very good point. That would be quite an accident if one of the judges leak who they voted for into the chat with everyone. And then there's another option as well where, much like the reasons why we would want to have someone constantly muted, people sending chat messages willy-nilly during a speech can also be distracting. Sometimes it'll have a little pop-up noise, go ding, ding, ding. Other times you'll be able to see it streaming up, scrolling up across your screen as you're trying to chat. So it can be very distracting for our speakers should all of these messages be popping up as they're speaking. So what we need to do to avoid that is we would hop into our setting to change who a participant can chat with, and we will set that to host and co-host only. Now, for some of you, this might just say host only, but I believe the default is host and co-host, so hopefully that'll be showing up fine for you. Now, if we set that to host and co-host only, that will make it so a participant is only able to directly message or to private message one of us, whether that be the Zoom master, whether that be the contest chair, whether that be the chief judge, or the sergeant at arms. They all have that option to get in touch with them in case of an emergency. Especially for our chief judge, it's they need to be able to receive protests should any of those occur. So then that gives the contestant or the judges to be able to immediately get in touch with the chief judge. Good question there, Phil. So Phil has raised a very good point in there. Does that hold true in the breakout room as well? So with the breakout rooms, they are slightly different. Luckily, breakouts don't affect us in here. You can change your settings, but it's not something that we end up using inside our contests because they're predominantly based inside here. This is where all the action happens inside what we call the main session. And then inside our breakouts, it's only for very particular people. Especially in some cases, it'll be your table topics contestants or your evaluation contestants, where they will all have their own things to focus on. Also, I hope. But that's a good one, thank you, Phil. And we'll be able to test that later on as well. So now that we have our security settings created, our participants all ready to go, and our chat settings enabled, then that brings us to organizing our breakout rooms. So if we can scroll ourselves across back down to the toolbar, you should have your share screen option in the center, your record option beside that, and then beside that one, there should be breakout rooms, which will be the 4 squares. Now, a little tip that I've found over the last few sessions is that sometimes the Breakout Rooms tab will drop off, and that rather than expecting it to be there by default, you might have to go across and click on the More button there. So if your Breakout Rooms tab is missing, head across to More, click on that, and then you should be able to pick it up in that case. So let's all jump on into our breakout rooms. Okay. So Natalia, the breakout rooms there, those will be beside, if you go into your toolbar, you'll find the share screen button, the record button, and then beside that you should find the Breakout Rooms button, and that'll be shown by 4 small squares. Cool, well done. All right, so a quick show of hands, a quick thumbs up if everyone has found our breakout rooms and they can see the tab. Nicely done. We'll make Zoom Masters out of you yet. a nice nod there from, oh, shake of the head from Margaret. Let's see, I'll close that down there, Sonia, sorry. Okay, so now that we have our Breakout Rooms tab open, or our window open, you'll see up the top it indicating that the rooms are closed or not started. And then below that, you will have our 5 breakout rooms. Those will be the contestants briefing room, the contestants waiting room, judges briefing room, the deliberation station, which is where the chief judge and the tally counters go to do their magical things, and then the spare room at the end. So these rooms here have been preset, so that's an option for you if you'd like to do it through the Zoom website. In some cases they will be preset for you, but in other cases they won't, so don't rely on that. If the rooms aren't preset, then you'll have, when you go to open your breakout rooms, you'll have 3 options there. There will be, do you want participants to choose their own room? Do you want to set or do you want to assign the participants automatically? And thirdly, would you like to assign the participants manually? There'll also be an option right up the top there which will ask you how many rooms you would like to create. So for that we would simply select 5 rooms, and then we would select assign manually, and then we'd click to create our rooms. And then in theory that'll get us to where we are now. Now once we're in our breakout rooms tab here, they've all been created, they're all ready to go. We want to head down to the bottom left corner of this little window and click on the blue options button. Quick show of hands that we've all got that. Nice. Whoops, I see someone's found the wrong button. But that's okay, so we want to go into the blue options button to our left. Now once you click into the options, you'll find another wide range of abilities which we have to set. These will be allow participants to choose a room, so that'll be unchecked. There'll be allow participants to return to the main session. We'll just close that as well. So as a note, don't be too trigger happy. Only once I reach a particular point, then please click on those. But before we reach those, for example, the open all rooms option, please don't touch it until we get to that stage. So fingers off the trigger for now. What we want you to focus on is our options setting. So heading into options, you'll have the allow participants to return to the main session option. Now, this is where we get into personal preference, where it adds extra security for us as a management team if we disable that, so if that's unchecked. And the reason for that being it ensures that our contestants, for example, a table topics contestant or an evaluation contestant, anyone who has to be separated from the speaking crew and are in their own waiting room, we don't really want them to suddenly barge back into the contest while another speaker is speaking. For table topics, they could catch the question They could start to compile all of these wild scenarios on whatever that question may be. And then that'll give them the upper hand. And similar to the evaluation contest, where if they were to catch other people speaking about recommendations or commendations, and they go, wonder why I never thought about that recommendation. That's perfect. I'll use that in mine. We want to prevent people from getting that kind of advantage. And so by disabling their ability to leave these breakouts whenever they choose, bearing in mind we can still shift them around or invite them to the breakout rooms or to the main session, that just gives us an extra layer of security. Thank you for that.
Restriction on moving them around, if you take that off, is it they can still chat with the Zoom master to say, oh, I'm ready to come in, or why haven't you moved me, or so they're not stuck in limbo?
Yep, so when a participant is inside a breakout room, they will have a new button in their toolbar, which will be called Call for Help. If there's a problem, they can click on that one. That'll send the host a message to say, so-and-so would like your assistance in breakout room number 3. And then the Zoom master can swiftly accept that invitation to help, and they'll head on in to support them. With contestants, they will have a sergeant at arms inside the waiting room as well. So in theory, it shouldn't get to that stage. Hopefully the sergeant at arms will be able to cover any questions or difficulties that they might be having. Okay, I see that Warren's got a question in there. Warren, would you mind running over that, please?
Yeah, thanks, Troy. Just to clear it up what you were saying to everyone about don't click the blue options button. On mine, it's a little, a cog, in the left-hand side, and when you hover over it, it says options. So we're all thinking, oh, options, oh, you mean the blue one? Oh, well, okay, it's blue, it means open all rooms. You must mean that one. That's why people are doing that. That's all I was saying.
Cool. Oh, no, thank you for that.
Right.
Are you using let's see, are you using the browser there, Warren, or are you using a Mac? What do you think the difference might be?
It's a Mac, it's the browser, no, it's an app. It's the app, yeah, on the laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's fairly well updated as well. So
yeah,
it'll be fine.
Okay. But no, that is a very good point there. So thank you for bringing that up. That'll be real helpful for anyone who has the same on their screen as well. Okay, so either the options button or the cog there. And now, again, it's preference whether you want to disable a participant's ability to come in to the main session at any time. Personally, I like to have that disabled, so to keep them locked into a breakout room, because it doesn't offer too much for us to have it enabled. We can still do all the same actions, still bring them into this main session as efficiently as we could before, and it just gives us that extra security. Now, the next must-have, or the only must-have on our options list here, is the chance to automatically move all assigned participants into breakout rooms. So by enabling or by checking that option, that means that we can, rather than either having to prompt in some cases or even having to request or lead people through finding the Breakout Rooms tab and then clicking on an invitation, by enabling the ability to automatically move participants, that gives us the chance to automatically move participants. it saves them a lot of stress. It makes things more efficient, because as soon as we say we're going to send you all to the breakout room, then they'll go. One click of a button, and then if it doesn't happen that way, which in some cases it doesn't, then they will be prompted immediately to join. Then it's just a simple click for them. Yes, I'd like to accept. So in my mind, that's a must-have, to be able to automatically move people into those breakouts. The other options there can be helpful, but they're not ones which are particularly important for our contests. So those are to automatically close breakout rooms after a set amount of time, or to have a countdown after closing a room. And the reasons why those aren't particularly helpful is to have the time set is very particular. There's nothing during our contests which we would like to set them for 10 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour. Contests are very unpredictable and how long they go for. You never know what could come up. And then to have the rooms suddenly close on you while someone is midway through a speech, and then all the other contestants flood in, that could be a bit of a problem. So that's not something which is overly important for us. And the next is a countdown after closing breakout rooms. Now, generally speaking, that's handy because it saves cutting people halfway through their chat with a teammate. But in these cases, we don't go closing the breakout rooms too often. And if we are closing them, we would tend to want those people to come back straight away anyway. So that in itself also isn't overly important for our contests. Now that we've covered our options, there's a few things to check off before we open the breakout rooms, and then we can get to testing those. So we're almost to the end of our session. A quick note as well, it is 8 o'clock. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get through the whole thing, but if you do need to leave at 8, then you're more than welcome, and you'll have access to this recording afterwards if you do need to go and you'd still like to catch the rest of the session. But if not, we shall soldier on. So now that we're back in our Breakout Rooms tab there, we can see all the different rooms, their titles. Now beside those rooms, you'll find a blue Assign button. And now at the moment, you'll notice that, well, you might not notice it, but we're in a little private instance. So anything that we do or we change while the breakout rooms are closed or not started, that's only affecting our account. The changes won't carry forward to Priscilla's account. It won't carry forward to Martin's account. It'll only be on yours for the time being. So feel free to click on that assign button and check anyone who you like and assign them to whichever room pleases you. Just a way to get used to how you would assign people when you need to. Oh. Okay, don't go opening the rooms just yet. So then head through and assign people if you'd like to test that. And the thing with opening the rooms while we're trying this is that before I mentioned that at the moment we're in this little private instance where we can make changes and it won't carry forward to others. As soon as you open the rooms, that carries forward the person who opens the room, that'll carry their settings, the people they've assigned, that'll turn that into the live version, and then it will, let's see, it will erase the other settings that the other people have been trying to set up. So, for example, if Priscilla had assigned Christine and Esther and Guinea Pig into the waiting room, and then all of a sudden Mark opens up the room and guinea pig was the only one assigned, then the stuff that the other person had done will be erased, and it will only take on mark settings. Now that's one of the key reasons why we only want one person to be able to be in charge of managing or setting up our breakout rooms. We want to avoid any chance of people putting all their heart and soul into assigning people and setting people up nicely, and then all of a sudden someone goes and erases that by either accidentally or on purpose opening up the rooms and doubling up that effort. So we need to be quite sure that we know who's going to be setting up our breakouts. Yes, Christine?
So if we've assigned people to go in those rooms, are those people in there now, like as in right now, or do we need to, we've chosen them, then we have to put them in?
Yeah, so no, they're not. So at the moment, the rooms are closed. You can assign people, which is only on your screen. That'll show them in there. But only once we open up the breakout rooms, then that will invite those people into their assigned breakout. So at the moment, they're all closed, and we can make changes without having any sort of an impact on others. So now that we have had a play at assigning people, also a quick tip. This is particularly helpful for contests and for club officer trainings if the naming conventions are correct. But you have that search function up the top. So if you click on assign, you'll have the list of names, and then you'll also have search up the top there. Now clicking on that search function, that allows us to put in the starting of a name, or for example, if you've renamed all of your contestants, which might be TTC5 for Table Topics contestant number 5, or Table Topics C3, Table Topics contestant number 3. By doing that, you'll be giving people the chance or the option to search TT or whatever acronym you've popped at the front, and then that'll very quickly find your people, and you can assign them nice and quickly as well. You would have noticed as well at our club officer trainings, if you've been to one, where we would ask everyone to rename themselves with their officer role at the front. So that could be PRE for President, could be VPE for Vice President of Education, or any of those other wonderful 3-letter things. Then that allows us to very quickly search those. We can find all the presidents under PRE, and then we can assign them nice and efficiently. So I'll wait for the breakout rooms to close. Okay, now we have everyone back. So it has now come for the time for us to test out our breakouts. Oh. Okay,
So
great.
Can I press all breakout room, open all rooms now?
Okay, if we can hold on for a moment, and we'll just get one person to press them, and everyone else fingers off the trigger. Like Warren mentioned before, I appreciate that it might look a little bit different for you. So if that's an accident, then that's more than okay. So we'll keep our hands off for now, and let's see, Christine, have you allocated a bunch of people or assigned a bunch of people?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so then if you could click that in a moment. Everyone, we will head into the breakouts. Please stay where you are for now. So don't leave the room or don't click any buttons or shift around. I will send a little broadcast, which will appear up the top of your screen, just as an example. And then what I'll do there is I'll bring you all into whichever room I end up being in. I'll bring you all into the one room and then we can talk about the different settings or abilities that you have inside a breakout. So Christine, would you like to have the honours?
Sure. Are you ready?
I think. Well, g'day.
Oh, hello.
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 Okay, I've sent out a little broadcast. Has everyone found that?
Yep.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
So I'll assign everyone into our room here. And in order to assign people to our room, we want to click back into the Breakouts tab there. And then, much like before, when you could hover over a name and you could shift people around or exchange them, we're going to have the option to move to. And when you click on move to, you'll be able to see a wide range of options there. And the one we want to action is moving them to our briefing room, our contestants' briefing room particularly.
We're back, are we?
Just about. Hopefully Priscilla won't be too far away as well. Okay, now we pretty much have everyone. Well, first of all, welcome back. And then secondly, if you'd be able to click back into your Breakout Room tab, please. Same place where you found it before, except you'll have a few less options, so it should be a bit easier to find. Now, clicking on that Breakout Room tab there, that'll open up, once again, our little window, which in this case, it'll show that the breakout rooms are open or in progress. And we'll see a whole list of names inside the contestants briefing room, which is where we are. And you'll also find either green or grey dots beside a particular person's name.
Hey, yeah, Troy, I think Priscilla's still in the judge's briefing room. Can't see her in this room.
Yeah, and that's a good example for us too, in that everyone will take a different amount of time to shift across these rooms. So I will quickly hop in and see what's happening with Priscilla, whether she's stuck or whether it's just taking its time to move her in. But depending on your internet speed and if you have a whole bunch of other applications open, then that will delay people being able to shift to come into another breakout room. So they'll get stuck in this space.
She's just gone.
Yeah, hopefully she'll hop back in. Okay, so now you'll be able to see that we've got all of our green status symbols, which indicates that everyone who's assigned to that room is active in that breakout room. Like we saw with Priscilla, if you're not active in a breakout room, or if you're lost in space, then that will, rather than being a green dot, that will be a little grey circle. The importance of that part there is with our contestants, when we're wanting to assign them to a breakout room or to shift them into another room, we want to make sure that they indeed have been shifted and are secure inside that room before we, for example, start another contestant speaking. And that's the same with our chief judge and our tally counters as well. When we assign them into the deliberation room for counting the results, we also want to make sure that they have been received by that room before we give the contest chair the go-ahead to carry on with their contestant interviews. So keeping an eye on those status symbols is quite helpful. Yep.
Sorry, Troy. I'm looking at this contestants briefing room and the list of all of us there as contestants, but I don't see a green dot.
Okay, there isn't one to the left of a name.
There's those little tags with our initials on.
Ah, so it looks a little bit different for you than it does for.
And
you...
each tag is a different color on mine.
Okay. But you have the list of names?
Yeah. 15 of us. I gather.
Let's see.
It's not the participant list, is it?
Sorry, Mark, could you say that again?
He's not looking at the participant list instead of the breakout room?
Contestants briefing room, I think.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that where we are?
Might be displayed different.
Yeah. There's so many different versions, as well as different views, whether you're in the browser or whether you're using different computers at times. It'll look slightly different, so it does get a bit difficult there.
Okay. No, that's fine.
But that is an interesting point there, Martin. And hopefully you can still follow everything well. All right, so one of the keys for us while someone is in a breakout room is the ability to move them to others. And I talked about this with a few of our people as we were shifting them in. But now that we have everyone in here, if you would like to hover your mouse over top of guinea pig as our little test subject, hover your mouse over guinea pig, and then there should be a move to option opening up on the right hand side. Now clicking on move to, that will give you a wide range of options there where you can put people into the waiting room or the briefing room, or the most important one for us is send them back to the main session. And now this is what we'd be clicking for our table topics, or for our evaluation contestants when we want to bring them back to partake. So I see that Martin has invited Guinea Pig to the main session. So I will click join, I'll accept the prompt. And then poor old Guinea Pig will go out into the main room where he can present his table topic. And we would want to repeat that for our contestants as well. Once one finishes, we'd send out a broadcast like we did before, and that would look something very similar to, could our next contestant, let's see, who wants to be our next contestant? Well, please prepare to enter the main session. Please remain silent. So that broadcast will look a lot like the top one that we can see now appearing up the top of our screen. And that's our indication to the contestants or anyone inside the breakout room to advise that we're about to shift someone else in, and then they can be speaking. So that'll prepare people for the prompt. And we tend to do that after every contestant finishes until the last one has been taken from the breakout room. And then we're done after that. So then practicing reassigning and hopping between breakout rooms, as well as bringing contestants back into the main session, is one of the most important things that we need to get used to or get comfortable with, because that's also where the most things can go wrong. So keeping an eye on that, keeping a firm hand is quite important for us to get used to. Does anyone have any questions on that end? Or we're at the end of the session, so any general questions as well? You're all happy?
So Mark, sorry. Since you obviously have been a Zoom master for a number of clubs or different levels of contests, do you possibly have what is it, like a schedule, or does it just, I guess by now it comes to you like second nature? Because it just appears to me that there's a lot of little things that, for example, this message that you sent just prior to Guinea Pig going into being moved to the main session. Sometimes I've noticed that message has come up, and at some contests, the message never came up. So should one have like a schedule of as a guide as a Zoom master, as to all the little things that have got to, one would have to do?
Yeah. So depending on people's nature, they may want to overcomplicate things and have everything in bullet points set by set, or others might like to go with a bit more of a natural or a go with the flow type theme. At the start, I shared the Zoom Master Overview document, so that there could be your guide to help you keep track of the different options that you'll need to look into, the different settings, as well as what phase you might be in for the contest, just to give you those tips. So you're more than welcome to use that for that purpose if you need. But otherwise, once you get used to it, once you've done it a couple of times, you've had some good practice, then you'll tend to find what works well for yourself and your club, and then you'll make those subtle changes. And it's getting you to that stage what's most important, just so you feel comfortable with what you need to do. And then, yeah, if by any means you want to try things a different way, then that's perfectly fine. Yes, Christine?
Okay.
Are you able to show us how to put that message on?
Yep. So then for our broadcast messages, if you click back into your Breakout Rooms window there, then beside Close All Rooms, you will have Broadcast Message to All. So then by clicking on that, that gives you the option to type a general chat message in there. And now rather than that going to, like if we were to send a chat message to everyone back in the main session or in here, then that would only be sent to people inside the same room as you. Whereas broadcasting a message, that allows you to reach out to all of the breakout rooms, including the room that you're currently in. So it's our only means of contact between one room to another.
In the main session.
Yeah. Yeah, so it works in breakout rooms as well. Have you been able to find that, Christine, and everyone else? You can find the broadcast message to all button.
Yes, so does that go to all the rooms, for example, the contestants briefing room and all the other rooms, even though you don't want them to go to every single room, you might just want to choose the contestants briefing room? How can I do it specifically to the contestants in one room?
Unfortunately, there's not the option for us to share it with a particular breakout. It only at this stage gives the option for us to share it to every breakout room, including the session that you're currently in. So I guess in that case, you don't want to share, let's see, private details or secret details between breakouts through this option. Only things that need to be publicly or could be publicly seen, like welcoming a contestant into the main session.
Thank you.
Cool. Warren, what's up?
Yeah, got a question. I've just noticed recently I've been unable to send files in the chat window, and I can't do it here either in tonight's meeting, even if I'm co-host.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed you're host and you and you can send files. So,
Yeah.
is there a setting or something, or what's been happening with Zoom lately?
That is a good question. Could you do it in the main session as well, or you were restricted there as well?
Yeah, I was restricted there as well.
Okay, so it may well be my settings. You're able to change those settings through the Zoom website.
Right. Okay.
By logging into your account and then forging your way through all of those.
Yes.
As far as I'm aware, I had them all enabled, so it should be working for host, co-host, and any participant as well.
Right.
But that is something which people might have disabled or enabled for only particular people.
Okay.
So that might be why it's playing up in some cases, and in this case as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, good, thank you. Esther, what's up?
Thanks, Troy. Just on that question about broadcasting a message to a specific breakout room, yeah, that's quite right. But one can join the breakout room and chat directly with the person.
Mm-hmm.
Although I imagine in a contest as a Zoom master, the ability to do that might be quite limited.
Yeah, so let's see, and that does bring us to a very good point. So thank you for that, Esther. You're right. Again, we can only send it to all or to no one in terms of broadcasting, but we are able to promptly jump into different breakout rooms, any that we choose, and this is for hosts and co-hosts. We can hop into any room we like and immediately help that one person or whoever needs help. So in our cases, the Sergeant at Arms will have co-host rights as well. So we don't have to worry about the one host or the one Zoom master dealing with everything and anything. We can have the Sergeant at Arms as a co-host pop into the breakouts and help people as well. And you'll be able to see if you're still in your breakout window there that you have the one room that you're joined, which will have a grey joined button beside the title of the room. And then for the others, you'll have a blue join button beside the other titles. And now that will let you instantly hop between rooms. So you have free reign, you're completely free. You can jump between any of the breakout rooms at your will. The only problem is that you won't be able to straight away hop into the main session. In order to do that, you'll have to leave the breakout room at the bottom right of your screen. If everyone would like to give that a quick go, hopping in between rooms, I see Christine has made a start, so we all might as well follow her. If we'd like to join the contestants' waiting room, perhaps. Are you able to find that there, Martin?
Yes, I have, but right.
Got it? Cool. Sonia, do you have that option there?
No, sorry. I'm very limited, as you said before, on the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was following your instructions. I did take notes, and I hopefully can go back to the recording and do it properly on a on a computer.
Okay. Oh, nicely done. Let's
Thank you.
see. And Natalia, have you been able to find that as well, or no?
I not really.
Mm-hmm.
Probably I will watch and record then and try to.
Okay. Well, so you have your breakout room window open,
Yeah.
and then do you have the little blue join buttons beside the room names? Mm. Okay. Oh, guys, I'll shut down
Yeah.
our rooms
Ah,
now.
okay. It's going.
I think you might have. I think we lost you for probably a minute, Natalia.
Sorry, I had problems with internet.
Oh no, that's okay. So I'm closing the rooms now. If we'd like to leave. Okay, hopefully everyone else will be joining us soon. Just Natalia and Sonia left, I think. Has everyone been finding it okay navigating between the rooms? Yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
Nice. There's Sonia there. You made it! And there's Natalia too. Great. And one thing that you would have found as well, as soon as you leave your breakout room back into this session, you'll also be muted straight away. And again, that stops those carryover conversations. Christine, what's up?
I have two other questions,
Mm-hmm.
three actually. So the first one is, you said we could, for example, if everybody's named themselves and I want to group all the presidents together and put them into a breakout room, and just do it quickly. How do we do that quickly without trying to find out who all the presidents are? And
So only if they're renamed properly, then we can do that. It's difficult to do that otherwise. So it does take a little bit of setup, time, but it is well worth it if you get in a pinch.
Okay. The other one is the how do we add a profile picture?
Okie dokie, and we can cover that in a moment.
Okay.
Was the other one contest related or breakout room related?
No, just adding a Toastmaster background.
Ah, okay, sweet. All right, we'll cover the other one soon, Christine, when we end the session. Warren, you've got a question? Don't forget to unmute yourself there, man.
Just wondering, Troy, what the... No, I've forgotten. Yeah, you were having breakout room names there, and I noticed you had a contestants briefing and a judges briefing. What happens if the person briefing both of those people is the same person?
Briefing the judges and the contestants.
Yeah. Do they drop in between one, and when they finish one, they go to the other? Is that how it works? Or can both of them be together? Or
See.
Is it wise to have two people briefing?
Yeah, certainly wise to have two people briefing. I'd pity the person who's handed the chief judge role and the contest chair role at the same time. They'd be a very busy man or woman or whatever.
When I'm running contests, I just find that I'm doing all of it, because no one else in the club ever wants to do anything. It's all, oh yeah, we're doing contests or something. Oh right, okay, whatever. So if someone's running that, are they, let's just get that over and done with and we'll go back to normal meeting. Then no one else wants to do anything.
Yeah, well, that's a bit of a shame there, Warren. I can't really help you with your team's motivation.
Yeah.
But one of the great things with Zoom is that we don't have to be there in person on the day to be able to brief people. We can set up quick half-an-hour briefings on Zoom to allow the contestants to come in at a totally different time, and then the judges can also come in at a totally different time to that. So we can run these short, sharp briefings virtually without having to have them all gather in on the day at the same time and then suddenly scramble.
That's a good idea. Yeah, do it at different times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also another question too, how do you get the blurred video? Like some of people were having blurred videos. I noticed Priscilla did, I think Esther has. How do you get the blurred, yeah, it's a blurred video.
Yeah. Would you like to cover that, Esther?
Sure. I navigate to the bottom of the screen on the stop video button, but instead of clicking that stop video, just click on the little arrow to the right of it.
Yeah.
So that's what appears on your screen. And when you do that, you can navigate to choose virtual background. If you click on that, a box will pop up that says settings. On the left-hand side are various options, general, video, audio, etc. Navigate to where it says background and filters and click on that. And then it should come up with a list of virtual backgrounds further down the screen on your right-hand side. And then you select one of those. And I've got the option for none or to blue. And that's all I do. I can toggle between them, and then I can upload other video filters such as the Toastmasters background screen.
So is yours just normally blurred?
I've selected to blur it. If I unselect it, then you can see the walls and the ceiling behind me.
I don't have an option to blur it or not. Maybe it's my old laptop.
Right, that could very well be the case. It could also be the version of Zoom that you're using and yes, the device you're on.
When I went in earlier, and you choose the background, it had a whole bunch, and prior to that it had the blurred as an option, but it had disappeared from that screen, but it was on that drop down on the stop video with the arrow, it appears there as well. So it might just be selecting blur my background in that list. So there's a couple of places it appears.
Oh, thank you for that, Esther. That was beautiful. And I hope that helped you there, Warren. Being able to find that virtual background section is where we start. And then like you've found as well that depending on your computer specs, you might not even be able to have or to use virtual backgrounds, because it does have to be able to, I guess it defines between what's a background and what's a person. What do we want to cover? What do we want to keep? So then in some cases it might be a little bit too demanding, yeah, if you've got an older model computer.
Yeah, it must be my model. Anyway, thank you.
That's a shame, but yeah, one day. Okay, Martin, how about you? What can we help you with?
Yeah, firstly, one is this workshop that you've run with us. Is it the sort of pattern that's been created? Is this only for District 112, or does it vary, or is there a particular format that Toastmasters International has created? Because I notice you've given us a bit of leeway to work with. So
yeah.
So who's created it? I mean, is it particularly District 112?
Yes, so District 112 have, I guess, yeah, we've created these sessions in particular. I don't know what the other districts do. They may well have Zoom Master sessions or Zoom sessions as well, but it's not something that I guess we're coordinating. There also isn't necessarily a guideline set by Toastmasters International. The speech contest rulebook is still somewhat focused on physical contests, and there are slight amendments that they've made to be able to adjust it to virtual, but it's still physical based. So then they are also yet to, although they have put out some form of a guide on running online meetings. So there are a few items there that can help you, but there's nothing particular for contests, and perhaps the different rule changes that you might find inside virtual contests as well. They've been also giving that leeway because, yeah, we've been thrust into this thing all of a sudden. Yeah. So yeah,
no,
I believe this
that
is unique to us.
Oh, good. Okay. It's just, I think, because sometimes some chief judges possibly get a little carried away with themselves. But anyway, Troy, at one of the contests, we were all in the main session, and the judge and the tally counter, I think, were deliberating, and unfortunately, we were able to hear them for at least a whole minute until somebody contacted them and said, hey, you know, what possibly may have gone wrong? They should have been muted, right? I mean, to us.
Yeah, so depending on what the plan was, whether they were either supposed to shift themselves into the breakout room, whether they were supposed to be talking on the phone together, or whether someone else, Zoom Master or Sergeant at Arms, was supposed to assign them to a breakout, I'd imagine they either felt they were muted or they felt they had been assigned, and then they just straight away went into chatting about the results, but didn't notice. That's what it sounds like. So then the key for us to be able to prevent that is just to make sure that during the judges briefing, it's been well discussed what will happen, who will be shifting them, where they'll be going. So then there are no surprises when someone has to suddenly move them or they forget to mute themselves.
Thank you, Troy.
I think what happened there, Martin, is the person had two screens up, looking at one screen and looking at another one, and was getting quite, it was a slip up because there were two screens, whereas if we had one screen, it might have been easier to monitor, but having two screens, that was missed. It was overlooked.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting point, Christine. Yeah, certainly could happen that way as well, or if someone has logged in on multiple accounts, which just sprang to mind, because yeah, that happens reasonably often, and like we did tonight, where I logged in on my phone. If I had my phone running as well as the laptop with the headset running, then you'd also get this horrible audio coming through the phone too. So someone may have had another account logged in with the microphone enabled and forgot to mute that one while they're in the breakouts. Cool. No, interesting question to explore. Well, guys, we better let you all go. Thank you very much for attending our session tonight. I tend to, or these things always tend to run late, so I should probably prepare or maybe make it a longer session. But I am, it is a shame that it's taken a bit longer than we had hoped, and I'm sorry if it's gotten in the way of anything or caused any inconveniences. But hopefully it's been well worth your time here this evening, and it's been great getting to spend the last hour and a half with you all. Yeah.
No worries, Troy. Thank you so much for
Thank
organizing.
you,
This
Troy.
has been really helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Troy. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Troy.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yes.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. I might stay back to find out how to add a profile picture and to add a Toastmasters background if I can.
Sure.
Thank you.
See you, Natalia.
See you guys. Bye.
See you, Sonia.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, and you're quite keen to find out about that too, Margaret?